Hey there. Today we're going to talk about something we all interact with, every single day, probably without giving it a second thought. How the web actually remembers us. We're going to take a look at these simple but really clever ideas called sessions and cookies. It really all kicks off with this question, right? You see that little pop-up everywhere, and for most of us, it's just this automatic click. But what are we even agreeing to? Why is every website so obsessed with asking for our permission? Well, the answer gets into a really fundamental challenge of how the internet was first built. So, to really get why cookies exist, you first have to understand the problem they're solving. And at its heart, the problem is that the web, by its very design, it has a terrible memory. Okay, the technical reason for this forgetfulness comes down to something called the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or HTTP. You can just think of it as the basic language of the web. And a key feature of this language is that it's stateless. All that really means is that it was designed for these one-off requests. It doesn't have a built-in way to link multiple requests from the same person. So what this means in the real world is that after a web server sends you the page you asked for, it completely forgets the transaction ever even happened. Imagine trying to have a conversation with someone who has zero short-term memory. You'd have to reintroduce yourself with every single sentence. That's exactly what browsing a stateless web would feel like. So your first click is a new request. Your second click? Yep, that's another completely separate new request. Without some kind of memory aid, the server just sees these as two totally unrelated events from two complete strangers. You couldn't log in, you couldn't save your preferences, and you definitely couldn't keep items in a shopping cart. So, to solve this big memory problem, developers came up with a really clever, really simple solution. The best way to think about them is as little digital sticky notes that a website can attach to your browser. And that's really all a cookie is at its core, a small text file. When you visit a site, the server can send a cookie right along with the web page. It's just a simple name and value pair that your browser then stores on your computer. It's the web's first and most basic form of memory. And how it works is obviously way simpler than you might think. First, you visit a site. The server's response includes this little set cookie instruction. Your browser saves it. Then, for every single future request you make to that same server, your browser automatically includes that cookie. It's kind of like wearing a name tag at a conference. The server can now recognize you. So, just to recap, cookies are just text, and they're stored on your machine, not the server. They can be temporary, just for your visit, or they can stick around for days or even years if an expiration date is set. And importantly, you have the control. You can choose to block them, but you should know that can sometimes break how a lot of sites work. Okay, so a name tag is one thing, but what if the server needs to remember a whole conversation? For that, we need something a little more sophisticated. This is like moving from a simple sticky note to a complete file folder. And that's really the key difference. While a cookie is this small piece of data stored on your browser, a session is the collection of information about your visit that's actually stored on the website server. The cookie is your ticket. The session is the event itself. Let's break this down side by side. Cookies, they live on your computer, the client. Sessions, on the other hand, live on the server. And because sessions are stored on the server, they're more secure and can hold a lot more complex information. They're really just designed for a single browsing session, and they usually end when you close your browser. So you might be wondering, how do these two things actually work together? Well, it's pretty clever. The server creates a unique session just for you and generates a random session ID. It then sends this ID to your browser and stores it in, you guessed it, a cookie. Your browser then sends that session ID cookie back with every single request, and the server uses it to look up your specific conversation file. The cookie becomes the key that unlocks your session data on the server. So why should you care about all this technical stuff? Because honestly, it's the engine that powers the modern interactive web experience that we all just take for granted. I mean, can you imagine? Without this memory system, online shopping would be impossible. Your cart would empty every time you clicked on a new item. You'd have to log into your email or social media on every single page load. All those little preferences you set, like language or dark mode, would just vanish instantly. Sessions and cookies are what transform the web from just a bunch of static documents into a personal, dynamic application. And that brings us right back to where we started. That pop-up. It isn't just about ads or tracking, even though that's part of the story. At its most basic level, it's the website asking for permission to use these tools, to place that little file on your computer so it can give you a coherent, functional, and personalized experience. It's just asking for permission to overcome its own forgetfulness.
So, the next time you click Accept, you'll know exactly what's happening. You're just allowing a website to use its memory, transforming a forgetful protocol into a real conversation. These tiny bits of data truly are the threads that weave a static web into the personal, interactive experience we know today. And maybe that's the most interesting part of all, how these simple little tools shape our entire digital world, one remembered preference at a time.